Hey friends, Justin here with an exciting review of Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Came out in 1948. It stars Humphrey Bogart, who is one of the great American film actors of all time. And what's really cool about Treasure of the Sierra Madre is it really shows his range. He normally plays a high society gentleman who's very sleek and uber refined. And in this film, he plays a hobo who is trapped in the Mexican town of Tampico and just needs enough money, wants to earn enough money to get out of Mexico and get back to the United States. So to see him dirty and to see him wandering the streets and begging, panhandling, is such an interesting concept. The friend of mine, and I'm so excited to review this film because it's my first viewer requested review, but the friend of mine that asked me for my perspective on this film Treasure had reviewed Casablanca on his channel, and I'm going to link his review to Casablanca below. You should check it out. And it's such an interesting contrast between that film. You know, he plays a romantic and an adventurer to this film where he's truly down on his luck. He asked the same man in town, an American, 3 times for help, for a few coins in order to eat and to just get by. And he's truly dressed down by this benevolent stranger and told, stop living off of me. From here on out, you need to make your own way in this life and in this world. And I can just only imagine the embarrassment, of being an American abroad and having nothing to your name. He's offered a labor job by an unscrupulous business owner in town, goes out for 3 weeks and is doing manual labor, and comes back and gets shifted by the business owner, not paid at all. I think the man gives them $7 or $8 and a promise to meet him later on at the bar. By the time he realizes that the man is not coming, he's got about $2 left to his name. They've drunk and gotten full off of the rest of the money. They have just enough money to 50 cents a piece, him and a hobo buddy of his that he takes a liking to. They have just enough money to spend the night at a hostel, to get a bed for the night, blankets and pillows, and that's where they meet Howard, I'm sorry. He's played by an actor named Walter Houston. But Howard is an experienced gold prospector who has fallen on hard times himself if he's living in this Mexican hostel. But he's struck it rich many times out in South America and all of these exotic places where there's been gold. And he's telling these stories. And from Humphrey Bogart's perspective, gold just sounds like a lifesaver. If he could just touch just enough to pay his way out of Mexico and maybe to establish himself in the United States again, he'd be a happy camper for the rest of his life. But this experienced prospector says, there's something about this gold that does something to us. 5,000 doesn't turn out to be enough. Once it's flowing through your hands, you say, I want 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. And Humphrey Bogart says, I don't have 2 dimes to rub together. If I get $25,000 worth of gold, it's enough for the rest of my life. I promise you, I'll be satisfied. They catch up to the unscrupulous business owner and take what's theirs. They get a couple $100 each a piece. And due to a stroke of luck, Humphrey Bogart ends up with enough money between him, his hobo buddy, and the experienced prospector. They need about $600 to strike out and go prospecting on their own. And they do. And it is a very exciting adventure. They're out in the Mexican outback. They're out in the wilderness, cutting their way through the wilderness and the jungle. When they buy mules in order to carry their packs out into the wilderness, they're warned by a native, don't go out that way. There are, I don't want to say monsters, but there are things out there that you don't want to cross paths with. But what's interesting about this film is that Humphrey Bogart and his pack, they've got a conqueror's mindset. Nothing is sacred to them, so they don't trust the natives. And they say if they think it's cursed to go out that way, that means there shouldn't be a lot of folks out there. And so that should be a great place for us to strike gold. And it is. They strike it rich way out in the Mexican wilderness. But there was something to be said for that warning that the native person gave them. They did strike gold, but greed slowly started to take over their happiness. It slowly started to take over their friendship. And, about halfway through the film, they're at each other's necks, ready to kill one another, thinking that the one person is going to take a larger share than the other. And that 5,000 turned out not to be enough. 25,000 turned out not to be enough. And Humphrey Bogart, who was, a man of value, a man of some tact back in Tampico, turns out to be greedy and brings out the worst in man, the worst in his character. But the tables turn on them. They are waylaid by Mexican bandits. There are other American pillagers that come out and try to take over their territory. It's an exciting film. And how it resolves is truly, truly thrilling. Some find fortune and some walk away empty-handed. But it's truly a lesson in greed and the nature of man and what happens to us. I can put myself squarely in the shoes of Humphrey Bogart, and you understand what they're going through. So it's really an interesting character study. The acting in this film is really, really exceptional. It's a fresh film. It does not feel like it was made in 1948, 60, 70 years ago. The lesson of this film is just as relevant today as it was in 1948. If you have not watched Treasure of the Sierra Madre, I found it for free if you have a Roku TV. It's if you just search it through your Roku search, you'll be able to find a copy of it for free there on Roku TV. So definitely watch it. It's a really fascinating performance by Humphrey Bogart. I think he took it because he had so much fat to chew on in this film, and it was such a departure from his normal, New York City or Northeastern character that he normally plays. So I love the film. What did you guys think? Who was your favorite character? What did you think about the stranger that moved in on them? And ultimately what happened to him? This story is unexpected at every turn, and it's just really exciting. So if you haven't already, guys, watch the film, leave this video a like, if you will, a comment your favorite part and what your takeaways were. And until our next review, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.